If you've ever sat in a church service, heard a passionate call to evangelism, and felt a familiar mixture of conviction and dread, this is for you. The dread isn't a sign that you're not called. It's a sign that the version of evangelism you've been presented with doesn't fit how God made you. And the good news? The genuinely transformative, permission-giving, life-changing good news is that the version you have been presented with is not the only version. It's not even the most common version. It's simply the loudest one. Digital evangelism, it turns out, is the introvert's greatest advantage. And in this article, we're going to show you exactly why and exactly how to use it. Why introverts have been getting the wrong message. The church's dominant model of evangelism has, for decades, been built around extrovert strengths. Street preaching, cold conversations with strangers, public declarations, events designed to create an emotional moment of response, high energy, high visibility, high volume. None of these approaches are wrong. For the people God has wired for them, they're genuinely powerful, but they represent only one of a very wide spectrum of human personality. And for roughly half of the population that is introverted, they represent not just a challenge, but an active mismatch with the way they're fundamentally designed to relate to the world. Introverts aren't shy. They're not timid. They're not less bold in their faith than extroverts. They're simply people who process internally, connect most deeply in small and intimate contexts, do their best thinking in writing, and find extended social performance draining rather than energizing. These aren't weaknesses. In the context of digital evangelism, they're extraordinary strengths. Why digital evangelism is built for introverts. Think about what digital evangelism actually involves. Writing, the introvert's preferred medium of communication. Processing your thoughts before sharing them, the introvert's natural approach to ideas. Creating in solitude, the introvert's ideal working environment. Connecting with people one post at a time at your own pace without the pressure of real-time social performance. That's the introvert's version of a perfect conversation. Online, you can draft your thoughts before anyone sees them. You can share at a moment when the words are right rather than when you happen to be in someone's physical presence. You can reach hundreds of people with one carefully considered post, video, or email without having to perform that message 100 separate times. And you can follow up conversations in your own time with the depth and care that the introvert always wishes they had room for in real-time interactions. The internet didn't just open up new territory for the gospel. It opened territory that for the first time in the history of the church plays directly to introvert strengths. The introvert's unique gift in digital spaces. There's something specific that introverts bring to digital evangelism that extroverts often cannot replicate. Depth. In a digital landscape saturated with noise, hot takes, declarations, performance, volume, the quiet, considered, genuinely thoughtful voice is increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. People are exhausted by content that shouts. They're searching for content that listens, reflects, and says something true rather than something loud. The introvert who takes time to process before posting, who writes from a place of genuine depth rather than immediate reaction, who creates content that invites reflection rather than demanding response, that person has a distinctive gift that the digital mission field desperately needs. The most trusted voices online are not always the most visible ones. They're often the most consistent, the most honest, and the most careful. These are precisely the qualities that introverts naturally bring to their communication. Which evangelism style fits the introvert best? Well, within our Kingdom Catalyst framework, introverts typically identify most strongly with 2 of the 5 evangelism types. Though every introvert is different, and knowing your specific type does make all the difference. First, there's the connection evangelist. This evangelist shares faith through the quiet integrity of their daily life, and they are often deeply introverted in their approach. They're not trying to reach crowds. They're trying to be the kind of person that makes people ask questions. Their digital presence reflects the same authenticity that marks their offline life. Genuine, considered, rooted. They post about what God is doing in their ordinary Tuesday, not what they think will generate the most engagement. And precisely because of that, it does. The second type is the conversation evangelist. This evangelist specializes in one-to-one depth rather than broadcasting to crowds, and this is also well suited to introvert strengths. Their digital ministry happens largely in the DMs. They post content that opens conversations, and then they pursue those conversations with genuine care and depth. The introvert's preference for small group intimacy over crowd-level performance is a perfect match for this approach. The third best type of evangelist that suits introverts down to a T is the content evangelist. This evangelist is perhaps the most natural fit for introverts who have a creative or writing gift. Creating content in solitude, crafting words carefully before sharing them verbally or written, reaching hundreds of people without having to perform the message in real time. This is the introvert's dream version of evangelism. And for introverts who find real-time social interaction draining, the asynchronous nature of content creation is genuinely sustainable in a way that more performance-based approaches simply are not. Practical steps for the introverted digital evangelist. Batch your content creation. Introverts do their best work in uninterrupted blocks of focus time. Set aside 2 to 3 hours per week when you're alone and unhurried to create the content you'll share over the following days. This protects you from the reactive, performance-driven posting trap and ensures that what you share comes from your best, most considered self. Right before you post. Even for social media, draft your content in a notes app or document before putting it on a platform. This gives you the space to say what you actually mean rather than what you initially drafted, and it allows the introvert's processing before sharing instinct to work in your favor. Choose depth over frequency. Introverts don't need to post every day to build a meaningful digital presence. 3 genuinely considered, emotionally honest, well-crafted posts per week will always outperform 7 reactive, obligatory ones. Play to your strength, which is depth, not the extrovert strength, which is frequency and spontaneity. Prioritize written formats. If video feels unnatural to you, don't try and force it. Blog posts, Instagram carousels, long-form captions, LinkedIn articles, email newsletters. These are all deeply effective digital formats that play to the introvert's writing strength. Start where you're most comfortable and most genuinely yourself. Let your DMs be your pulpit. The best evangelism an introvert will do online may never be seen in public at all. It'll be in the private conversation started by a comment, continued in a DM, and concluded weeks or even months later when someone gives their life to God in the most private digital space available. Don't underestimate this ministry. God sees it, and so does the person on the other end. The permission you've been waiting for. If you've been waiting for permission to share your faith in a way that actually fits who you are, this is it. You don't need to become an extrovert to reach people for God. You don't need to be louder, bolder, or more performative. You need to be more fully yourself and to trust that the God who made you introverted did not make a mistake. The digital world is waiting for quiet, careful, genuine voices. Voices that have processed before speaking. Voices that write from overflow rather than obligation. Voices that create depth rather than noise. Your voice. If you're curious about the 5 Kingdom Catalyst types of evangelism, discover your type and build your digital evangelism strategy around the way God actually made you. Take the free 2-minute quiz to discover your evangelism style by clicking on the link with this video. See you there.